Hey everyone, with Father's Day approaching very quickly, the marketing team here at AK Ricks wanted to put together a video, and they enlisted a veteran and a new dad here on the block to answer some questions about style, about family, and about fatherhood. So the setup is, we're here, we have a bunch of questions that we have not seen yet. And Blair, why don't you kick us off with the first question?
Evolution of style. How has your style changed since you became a dad?
With a, really young baby at home, you never know what is coming out of their mouths or on their hands or what they've picked up. So I think I've been just a little bit more conscious and maybe a little bit more, for lack of a better word, lazy at home, just like throwing on my grubs and, just getting in there and jumping into being a dad. So rolling around on the floor, you can't really be that worried about what you're wearing.
I get that.
What are your first memories of style as a child?
My first memories were from my grandfather, my dad's dad, who absolutely loved clothes. And I would go with him to the clothing store because he would go and buy a new suit every year and a new tie, the whole outfit. And I would go with my dad and him to the store. It was called Juergens and Hopeflor. And we would go and pick out his Sunday suit. He called it his Sunday suit. And he would have me help pick out the tie, the shirt, and that kind of taught me about fashion and what went with each other. So that's probably my fondest memory.
Yeah, for me, it's similar. It was my dad, and Marshall Field's was the store on the east side of the state. And my dad was, I wouldn't say the most stylish person, but he had like his kind of way he thought one should present themselves. And he never wore jeans. My dad still doesn't wear jeans, but he always had a collared shirt on, no matter what, even to kind of work in the yard. But we would go every few weekends or every, quarter, and he would go to Marshall Field's, and he always needed some shoes or a sport jacket or something for work or for church on Sunday. So it was always fun sitting in that store watching him shop. It was kind of crazy with all the big leather chairs, and I remember the ashtrays.
Yeah.
Kind of like at Rogers. The ashtrays on the men's floor was kind of an interesting childhood experience. So yeah, a lot of fun.
You're up, Ben. What one trend or piece of clothing you'd like to bring back and see people wear again?
Something that I've been seeing at market when we're traveling and purchasing for the store is guys are wearing ties again. And I think that's such a quintessential like Father's Day gift. In the past, like we have this many ties compared to what we used to carry at the business, but it's funny to see these young guys who are like in their 20s and maybe they're just starting out their career in finance or in fashion in our industry, and they're like rocking a tie to work. And I think that's just so cool, and it's kind of a time gone by, but it kind of adds a little like importance to what you're doing.
Yeah, I love that. That's really interesting because I was waiting on a young guy the other day, and he literally said to me, "I've never worn a tie." And I was just like, and he wasn't like, he was probably 25, 26 years old. I'm thinking, you've never worn a tie? And it's like, I think it's cool that it's coming back and they want to wear one and they actually want to look really buttoned up. I love it.
Okay, so next question, Blair, you're up here. Do you keep your clothes in hopes that it comes back into style, or do you purge what you don't wear on the regular?
I love clothes so much that I really don't purge. I kind of collect clothes, and I love the fact that I have some vintage pieces that I brought back. I actually have a closet in my lower level, and I put things down there and I save them, and then I go down there and I kind of bring them back out as we emerge into new styles. It's kind of a hobby of mine. I kind of really get into it.
You're good at that. I think a lot of the staff's favorite pieces of yours come from the library.
Yeah, it's funny, because they always say that style repeats itself. And of course, it's a lot of times it's just a little bit different, but there are pieces that kind of like now, what is so cool that we've both been wearing is seeing the wide leg jean come back. And, you know, and even pleats. You know, who would have thought pleats would come back? And, you know, like when I was in my 30s, there would even be like double pleats or triple pleats. I don't know if we'll get to that. But anyways, it's kind of fun.
It is fun. Drum roll here. Prime fashion years, Blair. What were your prime fashion years? Your favorite years for style and fashion?
My prime years were probably in the early 90s.
I'd say you're in your prime right now.
Yeah. So probably in the late 80s when I was in college, I knew that I was really into fashion. I was very, very preppy. I was I loved bright colors. I always flipped my polo shirts up. I had my collars. I even wore double collars, double polo. And I was really, really into penny loafers. I mean, that was probably my favorite time to wear clothes. And fast forward now, I mean, it's back, and it's like I'm kind of doing it again. That's, once again, what I love about fashion.
The biggest style tip I would say to dads out there is there's a lot of distractions, there's a lot of busyness, and it happens when you're a father, so don't let your style slip. And you can keep that going by checking into your friendly AK Rigs, see what's going on, see what's happening in the world. You know, our team here is always looking out for your best interests, and I know I'm sure your wife and your kids also want you looking your best and care about you enough. So yeah, don't let your style slip.